Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order. And we are here this evening to start our work on the 2012-2013 budget proposal. We had the overview given to us last week at our regular meeting by our Finance Director. And the proposal that we will be working with starting tonight is the result of many weeks of work between the mayor, the finance director, and with the cooperation of department heads. And the mayor has made the statement that we believe that we can make this budget work without a property tax increase as we focus strictly on county general. So I would appeal to this committee to honor the work that the mayor has done along with the finance director and the department heads, and let's focus on staying within the parameters of the mayor's recommendation. Are there any questions from the committee before we begin? This is the procedure I would like us to follow for those of you in the audience. I will ask the department head to come and join us at the table. I will then ask Mayor Burgess to give us his recommendation, and then I will address the department head and give you a chance to speak to any of the details of your budget, and then I would like you to affirm if you agree or disagree with the mayor's recommendation. And then the committee will have a chance to ask questions and have as much discussion as you feel like you need. And then to facilitate the process, it worked last year, I think, quite effectively. We will just do a voice vote on each of the departments' budgets. Are we in agreement with that procedure? Okay, good deal. Gentlemen, I will remind you, we are using front and back of the notebook, so when we do page numbers, be sure and when you're looking for it, you may see it on the back of the page because we're using the front and back of each sheet. Okay. The winner of the lottery tonight is Dr. Payne with Community Learning. And gentlemen, if you will turn to section 2 in your notebooks, that is page 19. And Mayor Burgess, if you will give us your recommendation, please, for Dr. Payne's budget.
They, again, have done a wonderful job turning in a continuation budget. Really no increases here except just the normal things that would happen with respect to any raises they're currently due, which is nominal. So $241,292, which is just about $3,000 more than the current year budget. So that's the recommendation. There's nothing else really to point out there that they made any changes in.
Dr. Payne.
I totally agree with Mr. Burgess. We've kept everything basically identical to last year, with the exception of the $3,000, and that basically went just for raises for my other 2 employees. There are only 3 of us. So I agree with his recommendation.
Make a motion approved.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Second motion.
seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Commissioner Peak.
The raise that we're talking about, Mayor, is that the raise that you were talking about the other night? Is that included in this amount?
Everyone has been revalued, and so some of them are basically just getting what they would have gotten, but others are getting more. But this one is pretty much routine.
Okay, now.
But they have all been considered, yes.
All right, and I'm gonna ask the same question I asked the other night at the school board after we read the news journal's account of it. I'm not so sure about the answer there, but what we're saying is we can put this tax, this pay increase in place without a tax increase this year.
The money that's been assigned to county general, the revenues are enough to support the total budget that we're recommending, including these increases for our employees.
Not the school.
And using some of the
And
funds.
using some fund out, yes, excuse me.
But that is including the school boards, everything that they're.
No,
No.
the
He
school
doesn't
board-
recommend on the school
school board.
The school board is independent of that
Okay.
completely.
You need to stress, this is
As far
just
as that
county general.
statement.
Mhm.
We may need a penny or two to move over to schools, though, from county general, though.
But that would, you might need.
That would
but that
skew
would
the,
really-
skew the rest of it.
It would skew
Yeah.
the fact that they're getting automatic raises plus another whole salary
Mhm.
table lift, basically every year.
Well, let's go back to community learning for a second. Explain to me the employee independent insurance. Is that a whole employee that's taking it, or, it was 12,720 last year, and now it's 13,980. Now, is that include what we got coming in at the 1st of January?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All of these will have the increases that are proposed in.
And just know that too is an estimate because we're getting rid of one option, thank you, one option, and having another option.
Mhm.
So there was some, estimates of who will go from
Okay.
the current option 2 to the new one, and where will the current option 1 go, so.
Okay.
Can I go back and ask a question that, in line with what Commissioner P. was asking? We may be approving these departments' budgets now, assuming that we'll be able to work with the school board to find the cuts necessary to avoid a tax increase. But if that doesn't happen, then those of us on the budget committee might want to go back and look at these salary increases that right now we're willing to consider based on the assumption that the school board's portion of the budget can be balanced. If we later learn that the school board's portion of the budget cannot be balanced, we'd have the option then at that point of going back and reducing the pay increase by a certain amount or maybe altogether.
I mean, you'll have other opportunities. I mean, this is, to me, this is the opportunity for the department heads to come before you, and then, just like the mayor waiting to see everything, y'all will wait till see everything before you
Right.
make.
Robert, that's kind of what you were asking,
It
wasn't
is.
it?
It
The
is.
school board's gonna be totally different from these budgets. It's coming out of school systems.
Anytime up to the night that we vote on to set the tax levy, then we can change
I mean,
anything.
you're-
And it can
you're
be
making-
changed on the floor
You're
too,
making
because we've
decisions,
seen
you'll be
it.
making decisions before we go to public hearing,
Mhm.
and making decisions then, and then after public hearing, you'll be making decisions again. So
Just
there's
gotta
several points
remember if there's something
in time where you'll
specific.
have that opportunity to come back.
Yeah. The
It's
general
not-
sessions, we did that. We went back and revisited, and I'll leave it at that.
Gentlemen, any further discussion on community learning's budget proposal? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank-
Madam Chairman, before we jump into another one then right quick, just so we can get this pay schedule thing out, not within your budget.
Okay,
there,
thank
but
you.
The pay schedule part, kind of how, what are we looking at again, total dollar? Did y'all have a total dollar number? We looked at, I've gone through steering and then here at budget last time and
It's $1.6 million
$1.6 million.
total.
That's straight wages.
What are we looking at, if we were just on a regular path?
372,000.
Either one of those include benefits,
No.
so that's another percentage on top
Yes.
of that, significant percentage on top of that.
2034.
So this plan would be our new plan. What does it do for us in year 2? This would be year 1. If we got it in 2, 3, and,
If you didn't do anything else, then, and everybody just moved one year, it'd be about 1 3/4%.
you're saying if we just did this 1.6 this year, then next year it would just be a 1.
It only, 1
Yeah.
3.
It'd be, whatever our total wages are, it'd be about another 1.75% of that increase, for just a one-step increase, 1 year for everybody. That would be, if if that's all we did next year, and I don't know what that number is, but it's probably would be, it'd be less, it'd be about the
Well-
400,000 there.
Well, let me go back.
Well,
I did forget.
And with Commissioner Baum and Commissioner P here, I mean, I don't wanna put anything in anybody's mouth, but I'm just throwing this out on the table before we get really in hot and heavy into our
Yeah, but that's gonna.
full-scale
benefit
budgetary
someone,
thing. Is this something that we need to be plugging in on a department by department all the way through this budgetary process? Or is this something that we look at the end like we have in a normal type step situation of, okay, we're looking good, we've squared it away, we have it increased from what the mayor's recommendation is, and we plug these numbers in at the back end instead of the front end? Or it's almost misleading our employees if we go all the way through this process and every department say, yes, we're for it, we're for it, we're for it, we're for it, every department. And then on the back end, we have a change of heart because of the dollars aren't lining up at the very end. Because of other things that we've added, or school board, or whatever.
Commissioner
least we can
Sandlin, I
make
think
them-
there's a chance that could happen. On page 5 of the very front part of your notebook, there's a summary of this pay increase across all departments, and that's kind of a nice summary that would allow us to see how much money we'd save if we eliminated the pay increases altogether. We could see what it would cost if we were to provide, say, 50% of the pay increases. It's on page 5 of the very first section of the notebooks, and it's got the breakdown in salary and benefits. And again, that's across all departments, so that we maybe don't have to keep track of this with every single department. What would the pay increase cost every
Right.
single department individually? We've got that summarized here on page 5.
Right, and I would think that whatever you decide, it would be consistently applied across every department.
We just at least need to realize that it's still in play. You know, up till the tax rate is set, and if we sit here and approve these budgets in theory,
Right.
there's gotta be that cloud out there. Either it could come out, or we need to look at them like Commissioner Sanders said, without, and say it could go in. But nobody needs to be cashing their checks
Oh, I
just yet.
agree, and maybe,
you know.
it's for y'all to, and that's what I've told employees also, it's no different than when the department heads are coming to the mayor's recommendation. He can look at it and say yes, but he needs to see everything, and then after he sees all departments, he may come back and make different decisions. You know, so for right now, you can look at, in theory, this is what it is, but nothing is written in stone, as you said,
I
until
would
the
just
end.
urge the finance department to be prepared to present documents somewhere toward the end, with and without the pay
Oh,
increase. You know,
okay,
ready to
I've got
hand
it.
out and say, this is what it is without. So I think we're all like the idea, but we've got to look at tax rate as a whole. you
I-
know, and-
I'm ready.
Okay.
It might be easier for us to gauge this if we actually did the school board's portion of the budget first. I know we're not gonna do it in that order, and even if we had plans to do it in that order, there still would be uncertainty until the very end, but that's a big piece of the budget that's currently not balanced, so until we get through that portion, we have to admit that we're at least somewhat unsure that we'll be able to afford these pay increases.
Why has this got anything to do with school boards?
Well, for me,
The school board's totally different. Their raises and everything else is in their budget, and all it ain't got nothing to do with that.
Well, if we're 3
Just
cents
total
short on a
dollar.
tax rate, we may have to borrow from another department
Mhm.
before we raise taxes.
Well, or they may have to find cuts.
Well, yeah, they might.
That don't mean that when they bring one forward, you're gonna prove it.
I know.
That's true.
So you keep hollering that, I mean, that's where you're losing me.
I think we're just saying what if, Joe, we don't.
I know, but
people
what
the
if?
impression that we're gonna give it, and we're not 100% sure we're gonna be able to.
But you keep going back to school board, going back to school board. School board is standing on its own, what they got right there. And that's the way it's done every year since I've been here.
Any other questions we need to clear up before we continue?
I'm just wanting to make sure that we're going through then, I assume then, after this first one, we're going through with each one of them and its adjustment as we were doing the pay adjustment.
In the mayor's recommendation, that has been included, yes. It is included in this recommendation that we're working with.
And then if you choose not to do that, when we get through this whole discovery process,
Then you can take it out.
Lisa will uniformly and consistently remove those from every department.
Unplug it.
I mean, the difference is, it's 4 times, basically just a little more than 4 times what we'd normally be doing into our regular step then. And that's just a little, it's a little powerful. We're trying to do the right thing in the pay plan and to our employees. We've always tried to do that. So, but when you're looking at 4 times the amount in the budget process, if they're consistent into a couple thousand here or a couple of hundred here, what I'm saying, and there's not these far-fetched lump sums of one person's getting $3,000 raise, another person's getting $26 raise, to get equaled up. That's the part I don't know in detail. And that's the problem that always comes out at the end of the process, that the employees seem to be in an unfair situation, and rightly so.
I guess what I was gonna say is that there are, you run the gamut. You've got some people who, because of history, whatever, to get them in the right spot, we had to cap it and said 5,000. So some would have gotten more than that based on this new evaluation.
Did-
Some will get nothing because they were where they are supposed to be. So we run that gamut, and you've got 1,000 employees, you've got 1,000 different situations.
Didn't the commission want to ask them, look at this pay plan?
Yeah, we have.
Let's continue, please. Register of Deeds, Mrs. Dahlbarn. And gentlemen, we need to be on pages 11 and 12. Mayor
Okay.
Burgess?
All right, the recommendation's $1,101,139. That's about $72,000 increase, primarily made up of 2 components. There is a new person here, a records manager, and that's about 35 or 6,000 plus benefits. And there's some equipment for the records manager to start the process of scanning documents, et cetera, for any number of others. That's about 25,000. So that comprises basically all of the increases. She's decreased her postal charges. Everything else is pretty much the same with nominal changes, if any, none noteworthy though. So that's the recommendation.
Mrs. Dahlbarn?
Well, I've got some good news for you. Actually, today I negotiated with Progress, who is our data processing service there, and we negotiated that down to $36,970 that's a savings of $56.40. So that's going to go on the 317 line where you see 42,610. That's going to be $36,970
Instead of,
42,610.
What line?
That's not.
We've got 80,000.
Maybe you're
we
looking
got
at.
80,000. I'm looking at the wrong line.
Yeah, it should have been, the news number should have been 42,610.
We don't have that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We got 80,000 there
No.
on 317 data
Well,
processing. Right?
Yeah, 317.
So what should that be?
The new number will be 36,970.
Wow, that's way down.
We've been negotiating.
But don't get
Up
excited
until
because
today.
that money is
Right,
restricted.
now, here's the difference. My budget, if you look at it, 2 things you should know. The data processing, 317, 334, you put asterisks beside these, 411, and 709. They come from a separate fund that the registrar's office has, and it's called the EDP fund, Electronic Data Processing Fund. And those funds are reserved for only electronic data processing. What we've done just recently, which we're very excited about, we've added to the duties of the registrar's office, records management for the county. We'll be doing some scanning and microfilming for other offices throughout the county. And hopefully you'll see a lot of savings in other departments next year because of that. Unfortunately, I do not, and I'll be back with amendments. This just got approved May 19th, for legislature. We had to change, the legislation to be able to do this. So I'll be back with, we've been doing numbers all day, yesterday and today, scurrying, and I don't wanna give you numbers until I've done a lot more research. But the equipment, we're gonna be buying microfilm equipment to be able to offer those services, and also, scanners and other equipment that will be necessary. So those numbers will be changing, however, it does not affect county general at all. So you can rest a little bit comfortable there. On 399, you'll see other contracted services for 13,000. That's a line item for the microfilm that we normally spend in the registrar's office out of the county general. When I actually get the microfilm equipment, I'll be taking that out of county general, putting that through the EDP fund, doing it ourselves instead of outsourcing that. So we should save that, but I'm leaving that on there because initially we're probably going to be needing that, but eventually we'll transfer that back. As far as my position up here, we did have a full-time person a year ago, and we closed the position. We let that close for a year, so we're basically just reopening that for that full-time position. And you can, on the raises, we're sticking, our office has determined, we're gonna stay with just the normal step raise. We're not doing the increased pay salaries in our office.
All of that she said about the records manager and all those you starred, all of those are to be funded out of this technology and now records management revenue. So it doesn't really affect county general up or down one way or the other. She just saved some money there for her future use in technology and records management.
And we're hoping to benefit other departments with that this year, with offering those services that they don't have funds to do back scanning and microfilming, and also help with storage space throughout the county. I'm really excited to see our ROI, our return on investment on the project. I think it's gonna be phenomenal.
What is your rationale for why you don't want to accept salary increases for the employees in your office?
Well, there's several. I think there's some unintended consequences of doing that. I think I've been in several meetings where we discussed the stresses on the TCRS retirement plan, and when you do these type of raises, it obviously has an unintended consequence down the road of adding more stress to that. I also think we also heard from risk management an increase in premiums and a shortage in that. I also believe that maybe apples to apples weren't compared when you're looking at benefits and salaries county to county. I think our benefits are very good in Rutherford County. So my feeling also within my office, I'm the one who reports a lot of foreclosures, and I see a lot of our neighbors struggling. And I just, I struggle with government workers receiving pay raises when outside market is not necessarily receiving those type of raises as well. And thirdly, maybe that's fourth, I'm not sure. I don't have a retention problem in my office. I don't see it as a necessary as a business person coming into this from outside. Usually I would think of pay raises of this magnitude as a retention tool, and I don't have a retention problem within my office. Those are my reasons. Other departments may have their reasons for doing what they do.
Not to hold back, tell us how you feel.
Well, I respectfully, I understand other departments might have other needs. So just for my particular office, we're a fee office, we can afford it. We'll be turning over excess fees. But I think we're more interested. I also feel a responsibility to provide job security as opposed to, I never want to be in the position of Tony Dover. And that's just my feelings on that.
Well, two things. One is you're bringing back a person that you don't have. Okay, that has been, what I want to say.
That's been over years.
Yeah, it wasn't last year, you know that. So if there is no way that somebody in your department now could do that, and you know.
I'm adding significant duties. I don't know if you're aware of the records management needs within the county, but it's significant. We're not talking small jobs. This is not just records management for my office. Remember, I did a huge back scanning project in my office, spent nearly $100,000 doing that. My office is actually pretty good as far as records management goes, but I'm very well aware there are other offices that don't have the funds to do records management and aren't in the same position I am. So we're gonna be offering those services. I had to literally add that to the duties of the register through legislation to be able to use my funds to do that. So that took a process of time. Like I said, just got approved May 19th. We're talking libraries full of documents. So this is a different role than the registrar's office is accustomed to, and requires a different set of skills. We're not just talking scanning documents, we're talking records management, which is significant. There's some significant skills needed for that outside of what my current personnel would be able to provide.
Well, in light of that, I would think that the regular duties of the Register of Deeds wouldn't be as much right now with the slowdown in the economy that we've had, because, you know, a lot of that comes into Young is the transferring, the selling, the splitting, and this type of.
You may not see the same revenue because of the decrease in property prices or number of sales, but we do see the same number plus documents because we also record foreclosures and liens and bankruptcies. So the number of documents are still significant within my office. And you'll note that if you look at the EDG fund, that's $2 per document. That's pretty steady. The income in that's pretty steady annually, meaning that the number of documents has not decreased. It's actually on the increase in regards to that. So the volume of work is the same. The types of documents we're recording are different.
One more thing, was there a study that, because you mentioned about the others, I'm assuming private industry is what you're talking about, non-union, I would guess, in the mid-state, that you're talking about that aren't getting any raise? Was there a study, or is it word of mouth, or, I mean, or is
I
it just a
think that-
feeling, or?
I think that's pretty much a general understanding that people have of the private industry. I mean, I'm still in touch with the private industry.
I
in
think when Ms.
particular.
Stevenson gets up here, she's done a survey just in the last few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
she has survey information that shows that private industry is aren't giving increases.
Yeah.
She can better speak to that.
yeah, it's really not mine.
Okay.
I feel like I'm doing what's appropriate for my
Okay.
office, and I respect others' decisions for their offices.
I'm gonna ask one more then, can we have a bottom line now
Well,
in
that's
lieu of
what
what
I was gonna ask.
Ms. Stockmore
The
said?
finance director to give us our bottom line.
Well, because that
let's
one,
do-
317
What is
is quite a bit different than what we.
It's the
1
same,
million.
it's a different.
1,058,109.
So it's 29,000 more than last year.
But that didn't affect
That's with.
county general.
Yeah.
And that changed that.
That's with adding extra duties and significant equipment purchases that we're gonna be making.
Because if you reduce that 317, you just reduce your revenue that goes to support this budget from the technology fund.
All of which we will raise enough revenue plus and still pay excess, probably to the tune of 350 to the county and nearly 3 million to the state. So,
Motion to approve the budget request.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Salmon, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, page 1. This is the county commission part of the budget. Mayor Burgess.
Here's the time,
Well,
That pay plan effect.
no increases for no other commission being.
Have we opted out?
Our department leader has opted us
You are not
out.
in that. You can always put yourself in that plan, but that's up to you. Well, pretty much this is all the same, that there's been an an increase in some of the dues and memberships, but other than that, it's the same budget. It's about $8,000 more.
But not going to us, so
Dues.
I motion I'll approve. It's because of dues.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fitch.
Those are required, those are things we gotta have.
Yeah.
Be nice to leave that one.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Page 2, gentlemen, Board of Equalization. I don't see Mr. Boner.
He was out on, so Ms. Crowell said, but I thought he would be here by now. That particular budget is the same budget, we can go ahead and do that one. That's just to pay the members of the Board of Equalization, and it allows some consulting fees there for outside consultants. It's basically the same budget.
Actually, yeah, okay. So moved.
$700 more.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carried. 26 and 27 is the actual property assessor's budget. 26 and 27. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, there are a few things I'll point out. 106 deputies, you can see an increase there of about 22,000. That's no new people are there. Again, that's a reviewing, a revaluation of those employees in that whole department. Go to the next page, 335. We reduced that travel budget from 50 to 30,000.
Back up 106 in deputies. How many deputies
Now,
are there?
also in that one, there was, he eliminated one of the positions.
In 106?
In 106.
So how many's there now?
I've got 24.
I'm sorry, I just want to see.
And on the back page, that was 355.
Just
line-
to make a note,
Is that it,
and we reduced current budget and requested from 50 to 30.
Okay.
Gasoline requested, we reduced from 20 to 15. And then motor vehicles, we requested 1, and the recommendation is none,
Why did we reduce the gas, Mayor?
because he hadn't spent that much, he just over
Just coming back to
requested.
call back
And
here.
so look
That
at
was what he requested.
What he requested.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have enough to, at that level.
I'll make a motion to approve
Thank you, Commissioner Petty.
I'll second, that's on the mayor route.
on the mayor's request.
I'll second it then.
Recommendation. It's 100,000 less.
Yeah,
Less
that's
than
the reason I was
so-
asking, make sure we look at
Seconded
what.
by Commissioner Jernigan. Discussion?
Page 27.
How much less is it than last year?
It's really, and it's not 100, it's about
38?
34,000 or 35.
A couple of vehicles in last year.
From the amended budget, yeah.
Yeah,
$47,000 over the vehicles,
Yeah.
zero this year.
So the vehicles are sort of offset by those deputy changes.
We do have a motion and a second, gentlemen. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
One abstain. Okay, on the next page, 28, the reappraisal budget.
Just got her done.
You stay with your finish?
Yeah.
Come on up if you like.
Sorry, I'm running late.
But anyway, the reappraisal deputies, there's a slight decrease there.
We eliminated.
You
Eliminated.
eliminated one position there, and the others there are getting revalued, of course. Data processing supplies, I'm recommending 4,000 instead of 6. Gasoline again, 15 instead of 20. So the total recommendation is 531,933, which is about 25,000 less than this year's amended budget.
And there's 9 positions. in-
Move to approve.
9 in these deputies.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain.
And one abstain. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bowner.
Thank you.
Is it perfect time?
Gentlemen, pages 3 and 4,
25 and 38.
budget for the county mayor's office.
Just a couple notations, of course, you'll notice line 330, operating lease payments, that's a new line. We're including the cost for postage machines in the mayor's budget that are
That's two machines.
two machines for the use of everybody. That Heretofore, we had those purchased and owned them, so now we're leasing those machines, so that's why that addition is there.
And Lisa, in under 334, the maintenance agreements goes away.
Right. So that's offset by that reduction of that 4,000. Under 599, you can see the amended budget, but that means that we've moved, we started at 50,000 and we're recommending 50 again, but that's, money has been actually moved and used. So that's the reason that's amended down. So really, that's not an increase of $24,000 there.
We amended money out of there to go to buy some equipment.
Some cameras or something out there at one of the locations, maybe the work center. So the real net effect is just nominal plus that postage machine business.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Petty. Discussion or questions for the mayor? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. Gentlemen, pages 5 and 6, Human Resources, Mrs. Stevenson. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, we're recommending $286,690, which is a little less than $1,000 less than she has this current year. There are really not any substantial changes. You can look up there at 103 and see that line of assistance has gone from 43 to 73, but she's moved what was in 189 up there with that, and that 31,000 has gone to zero. So the net effect of that is really a little less as far as total money. So that's really about the only thing of any significance as far as how it's actually presented here. The rest of the numbers are pretty much the same everywhere, so it's just very nominal changes, if any.
Mrs. Stevenson.
Accept the mayor's recommendation. We've already discussed it.
Gentlemen,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Fee, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan.
103 went, you gained one, right?
That was the position of the sheriff's office that
Right.
allowed us.
So
And
then that's coming-
originally it was in line 189, but this year we just combined it into that same line number.
What are other charges?
Other charges, we do the Rutherford leadership for department heads, assistant department heads, and some of that's money for training, and the other is the employee recognition for milestone anniversaries, where 5,
Okay.
10, 15, 20, just to recognize their years of service.
Any further
That's a lot
discussion
more than
relative to
other
this
charges.
budget? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. County Attorney.
And wait a second, while we got her here, she had some information, or do we want to go into that now? I mean, if you've got it in the handout form, that'd be great.
I didn't have it in the verbal form because I didn't know that question was gonna be asked, but I could have.
Vote on the motion on the floor? Or did
We did, yes, we did, thank you.
I didn't know which one.
The only thing I would add to it, and I think several people mentioned, was, we're comparing us to the private sector and what's going on in the private sector. And as I look at it, we've got 3 different entities. We've got those that are self-employed, those are in the private sector, and those are in public works, which is what we are. And thought about that as I've heard comments come around. So I belong to an organization called the Society of Human Resources Management. And those are the individuals who do salary surveys and benefits and all that. So I sent out a poll. I surveyed every member in our Rutherford County group and gotten back several responses. And everybody that's responded to me so far is doing salary increases. Not a single one of them has said no. The ranges have been anywhere from 2 to 3%. We've got 2, 2.5, 2.8, 3. I mean, no no huge increases. We're talking about 1.75, so we're even below the trend. So I did want to address that based on that being a common concern of the citizens and also this body, to make sure that I researched it some. So there may be some industries that are not, but the ones that have responded to me so far,
I know some that aren't.
Okay.
yeah, and there may be, yeah, they just, maybe they're not in that grouping or.
Right.
I asked two of my children that work for companies that are in the mid-state, but not in this county. And the one said the average company-wide was 3%. The other said of salary was 0.6 to 2.6%. But they have bonus plans too.
Well, I didn't even get into the bonus structure, because that's a whole other animal that we don't have profits, so.
Yeah.
we can't go there, but.
Anything else for Mrs. Stevenson?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you
Gentlemen?
can get a hard copy of that, I'd like to see that.
When they get them all done, I'll send it to you.
Pages 7 and 8, County Attorney Budget, Mr. Coe. If you'll join us, please. Mayor Burgess.
First, I'd like to make a few open comments here. Some of these numbers in the budget request probably need to be, I need to point out to you that if you'll look at 101, 331, those numbers combined together are $297,000. The numbers that I've computed for the 12-month average, you might say, that really should have been, and that, about $250,000, so we've overstated that number there by about $47,000 in the budget request. Now, further stating, I just wanted to be sure that $438,230 is overstated, in that it's at least $47,000 too much based on a trailing average. And I just want to be clear that we don't have a potential of $100,000 savings. It's more like somewhere 60 to 80 when you look at all the attendant changes that might be required. Also included in the $250,000, I would say that routine services out of that 250 was about 225, and there's about another 25 of miscellaneous kinds of legal assistance that they gave with respect to pause and a few other, largely pause, but a few other things like that, which really wasn't quite routine, but it was billed through the routine services, okay? That's sort of separate. So just want to make that clear so that we don't overstate what's on this piece of paper. Now, what we've got over here in column 5 is dollars that would take for a staff in-house county attorney, a legal secretary, and one administrative assistant. There are dollars placed in line item 101 and 161 for those 3 positions, and then all the attendant benefits follow thereafter.
See, 101, 161, what's the other line?
That's it as far as 3 positions.
To what extent are we confident that one in-house attorney would be able to provide the legal services that the county needs without needing additional assistance along the way?
First of all, you've got to be clear about what this is. This is for routine services only. This has nothing to do with anything that has to do with litigation or appearance before the EOC commission or otherwise.
I guess I'm referring to routine stuff, like let's say that there's different areas of law, maybe there's bankruptcy law, tax law, real estate law, insurance law, different areas.
Real estate transactions are not included as routine.
And I'm just wondering hypothetically, perhaps the in-house attorney needs assistance for routine services.
Well, let me say this, their billings, which we have about 18 months worth of these billings now, on an advertised basis, what that number I quoted you for $225,000, that was for 1,250 billable hours.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, even with additional time for sick, annual, etc., there is still, it appears, enough hours in a full-time position to do what they have charged us for what they have done.
That would address the time component of it. What if the in-house attorney is an expert in tax law and bankruptcy law, but isn't as strong in employment law and says, hey, we've got a big case that's come up or a big issue that's come up, and I need either reinforcements time-wise or I need reinforcements in terms of expertise, someone who can answer some questions or deal with some issues that an in-house attorney may not be an expert in all these different areas of law.
But all of that's very true, but one person may not ever know what two or more people might know, and that's absolutely correct. Of course, we haven't had any bankruptcy stuff much to talk about. Taxes, I mean, we don't pay taxes, so we don't have to have a income tax person, it appears. So, I mean, yes, there could always arise something that this person may or may not know. We can't deny that might occur.
I'm gonna confess that I'm comfortable with the years of experience that the Cope Law Firm has, and the fact that they've got several attorneys, 6 or 7, with expertises in different areas. That's reassuring. One of the concerns we might have is on the cost side. My understanding is a couple of years ago we had an arrangement where there was a flat fee that would have been in line item 101, and that there wouldn't have been additional charges for additional billable hours. It was instead of in this budget where there's a salary of $72,000, but then once you reach a threshold in terms of hours, the attorneys are paid an additional amount for hours they spend beyond that threshold. Prior to the 2010-2011 budget, there was an older system where we paid a flat amount, but there wasn't a mechanism to provide additional pay for additional hours. It was just a flat amount for all of the services the county needs. In that budget, the total cost was $259,000. I was wondering if there would be any possibility of sort of having it both ways, keeping the experience and the expertise associated with the Cope Law Firm, and at the same time save money. The money-saving part would be by going back to that old arrangement that was in place in the 2009-2010 budget.
Well, first of all, I mean, yeah, there's always an option to do anything you can get all the parties to agree to. And first, I want to say I agree completely that the Cope Firm has given us exceptional, professional, quality, competent service. There's no question about that in the minds, I don't believe, of anybody. In other words, right now, the way it's structured, that $72,000 is just sort of a retainer. We pay everything based on an hourly rate, and then
That's right, and that's kind of why I'm suggesting maybe we can have the best of both worlds, the experience and the expertise, and save money at the same time by going back to this system this pay structure that was in place just a couple of years ago, where there wasn't the retainer and then the hourly billable rate. Instead, there was just sort of a flat fee. I think it was $109,000 in that budget.
well, it was treated as an employee at about $110,000 plus, with all the attendant benefits attached there too.
I think you lose out on having that person there that's there for us, like on the finance side, that I'm here for y'all and for the county departments.
There's one person gonna go cover the planning meetings and gonna cover
Yeah.
everything.
That's routine.
I remember when we did the 2-year contract, and I wasn't completely sure or understood that this was a done deal, that we were gonna, I thought end of 2 years or somewhere close to the end of 2 years, we were gonna talk about what do we do from here. Because I like the security of half a dozen guys with probably 100 years of legal experience between them. I think back when I first came on the commission about 10 years ago, and we didn't have an HR department. And Mrs. Stevenson does a wonderful job. Now, I'm not trying to knock you at all, but I remember we hired a young lady for our HR director and put her in a closet over here, and it was only going to cost us a very small amount of money. And here we are 8 or 9 years later, we've got a HR department now, which does a great job and takes a lot of load off other departments and all, but our budget's up to $286,000. And I just worry about starting another department, and I'm wondering where we're gonna put this lawyer and his couple of people, and have we got space in the courthouse for him somewhere? I
Not the
mean,
courthouse, but I have a space in a building that we're not using right now that we can convert.
but I mean, I'm just thinking, what other kind of expense is there? We got a space for them and stuff like that, and
I think, I mean, the years I've been here, there's always been times when we've had to go out and hire attorneys. I mean, with that conflict, or, you know, our attorneys were tied up and, you know, we needed somebody with expertise in a certain field, so, I mean, we've done that all along. I don't see the big change in it too. We've got Jim to fall back on as a mentor or whatever for, how much longer is it now?
You mean for?
For helping us along for
My
with the
contract
contract.
runs out in less than about 6 weeks.
About
You
6
got me about
weeks.
45 more days.
As far as the litigation piece of it, it's 2 more years there.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, we had another year, so, thank you.
So is this person also gonna be involved with the schools and its situation?
No, the
This
school board has its own
not
attorney
about
right now.
School,
And
this is just general fund
That's it.
stuff.
Is it a problem that the routine legal services contract would end June the 30th and we'd have an in-house attorney under this proposal? But the litigation portion would be handled by the Cope Law Firm. Would that be complicated or awkward to kind of have these two sets of attorneys, or maybe one in-house attorney and then another set of attorneys handling the litigation?
I mean, it's,
Would it make more
There's
sense
no-
to have the contracts expiring at the same time so that the same person doing the litigation is the same person doing the
I
routine?
don't know, this litigation piece, you need to think a whole lot more about whether one person would possibly be equipped to do that, all of that litigation, with the wide array of things that might have to be covered, so I don't know whether that's, I think you need a bit more time to see what skills would be in place by this person before you could even know whether he could do litigation or not necessarily.
Well, I guess I was just wondering whether you'd want the contracts to end at the same time rather than having the contracts ending 2 years apart, so the Cope Law Firm's doing a portion of it, the litigation, the in-house attorney's doing the day-to-day stuff, and then they're trying to coordinate back and forth. It may not be an issue, I'm just
Well, I
asking
mean,
whether it would be.
might be instead of the mayor sort of working with him day to day, if you have an in-house attorney on coordinating these cases, that person might be coordinated with them more than me.
I'm like these fellows here. I mean, I'm concerned about going into attorney business myself. I think they've done an outstanding job. I won't be voting for it because I don't think it's the right thing to do myself. I just believe it's a county this size and things that we have come up. And when you got a firm there that's well capable of it, when you hire one person, I guarantee you're gonna be going back to getting attorneys again on a lot of things. So I don't think it's a good idea myself, so that's all I'm gonna say, keep it just short and simple.
Would it make sense to give the Cope Law Firm an opportunity to submit another proposal that would be designed to maybe reduce costs a little bit, or give them the opportunity to submit a proposal where we go back to the pay structure that was in place in the 2009-2010 budget, where there wasn't a retainer with a hourly rate on top of that, there was just a fixed fee? Again, back in that budget, the total cost on the bottom line for the county attorney was $259,000.
Mayor Burgess, it might be a way to clarify this. With this recommendation that you are giving us tonight, explain exactly what role the COPE office has in this. Right now, we have 1 more year of litigation, right?
You got 2 more years.
Is it 2 more years?
But the day-to-day services would end in a
But the
month.
day-to-day services, the routine services.
That's what I was saying, they don't match up, so
Yeah.
you've got these two different sets of attorneys.
I think that was done on purpose, and we extended the other, so.
You had to
we have this
extend the
help.
discussion, it took
Yes.
months and months.
It'd be hard again.
Getting all the
too.
parties to agree. So we need to be clear in what this proposal actually includes.
This proposal takes care of routine services and delinquent tax collection.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve this budget.
We do have a motion
Second motion.
and a second.
Commissioner
Discussion.
Ely, if we're getting ready to vote, we might want a roll call vote. I think I'm gonna side with Commissioner Jernigan and vote against it just to give the opportunity for us to discuss the Cope Law Firm submitting another proposal.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I was hoping we wouldn't come to this right now at this moment in time. I'm wondering if out of the 21 commissioners, am I the only one out there thinking that this was still in play? That, you know, as far as we hadn't made a decision to go away from the law firm we have, and we've got a commission meeting day after tomorrow. We bring it up under other business, let the full commission vote on it, and see if everybody's in favor of it before we go too far down this path, because I didn't think we were making this decision right now, and that may be all because I didn't do my homework. I don't know. I knew we had a 2-year contract. I didn't realize it was up. I didn't realize it had been 2 years. I thought we were going to have the discussion 6 months before it's up, and what do we do now? Do we renew the contract? Do we renegotiate the contract, or do we cut the ties and move on? And I'm thinking, I want to know if there's at least 11 commissioners in the big room that'll back this up before we get too far with this budget, because this is to me anyway, a huge change, you know, and I may well support the change if everybody's on board to do it, but I just don't feel like, I feel like there's some people out there that aren't aware of this is going on. I wasn't aware we were to this point. It kind of blindsided me, you know, and such.
Well, I was surprised Monday night steering, no, not Monday night, last Monday night steering, not this last Monday, week before, that you were on the agenda, but nobody was there. We discussed it a little bit as far as the steering committee, but the mayor's done his job as far as what is in place and what we're supposed to be looking at and handling at this point. You're right, I don't know how we replace, 40-plus odd years of, how long have you been?
28, 29.
Okay, I added some few years on
You
there.
talk about age, not
But, I mean, with your staff and everybody that's there, that you haven't done your job as far as a great job for handling the county's business for a number of years. But, you know, we've talked about this a long time. It went up the flagpole, I guess, maybe a couple years after I was first elected, in the mid-90s. It hit a brick wall pretty quick, but, because we started looking at the numbers. What's it gonna take to get the job done? And that's where it fell out. So, as far as not the whole picture, but this piece, I think we'll be all right with this piece. Litigation, we've still got, I feel like the best company, the best man representing us with the expertise that he's had with us. So, you haven't said a word. I want you to interject here at any point about what is your opinion? What's your thoughts here on this thing?
Well, two things. First of all, our law firm and myself individually are happy to do whatever the county commission would like for us to do. If you want us to continue to work with you on some basis, we'd be happy to talk with you about that. If you prefer to go in a different direction, we understand. That's your decision. It's not mine. So I'm not going to agree or disagree with the mayor. He's got his view on it. Again, I think that's, I work for the county commission. You're the 21 votes that hire me. You're the 21 votes that elect to terminate or suspend and continue legal services. So we're happy either way. Whatever you all would like to do, we're happy to do that. Secondly, as to why I wasn't at the meeting the other night, I was not invited. You're right, it was on the agenda, but normally I get called by any chairman or whatever that wants me to attend the meeting. And surprisingly, I got a call about 8:30 that night and said, did you know that there'd been a recommendation made to go to a full-time attorney and have your services in? And I said, I had no idea. I had no idea this was going on. And this contract has been going on for almost 2 years now, and I frankly had thought or expected that if there was some issue regarding it or some counter proposal that needed to be addressed, that we would be invited, as most department heads are, to discuss that. I didn't get that invitation. I don't know why I was not invited. I can't speak to that. In fact, the first time I saw this budget that's being proposed today was yesterday. Ms. Nolan sent it over to me yesterday afternoon. Again, I'm not being critical, I'm just saying I can't attend meetings or respond to issues if I'm not being provided the information or invited. Again, going back, we're happy to go any direction. This is not a personal thing. I enjoy working with the mayor. I enjoy working with all department heads. It's a privilege and an honor to do that. We do feel like we offer good experience and expertise in doing that. If it's your will that you would like for us to submit a proposal for your consideration, we'd be happy to do that. I have not had the opportunity, the mayor's not discussed this budget with me, so I don't know whether there's any room for that or not, but if the commission would like for me to do that, I'd be happy to do that if the mayor would be so inclined. Again, we're here to serve you. If you'd like for us to, great. Whatever we can do to answer your questions, be a service is what we want to do.
Well, I didn't know that about the meeting. I just brought that up. I didn't know that was a miscommunication or whatever. I didn't know that, so I apologize. I don't want to apologize for the committee. I just noticed that you wasn't there, and I figured you would be there if we were going to talk about it.
Oh, I would have been, I would have been there, and I would also ask why I had not been asked about the budget.
Right.
Because every year up until now, I've been asked about my budget and been sat down and given an opportunity. This is the first year that didn't happen. So.
Okay.
Well, too, I wasn't aware of what took place in steering there. It's kind of new news to me sitting here. But I do know that all 21 commissioners had voted to do what we're doing. And that's basically what this is about right here. I mean, this is something all of us have decided as a group, whether I agree with it personally or not. And that's, basically where I'm headed with it. And I feel good knowing that we've got another 2 years, litigation end, that we can depend on your folks' guidance there. And, you've done a wonderful job as far as I'm concerned. We've had discussions where we don't always agree, but, I think you're always leading us in the direction you feel like is in our best interest. So I want to thank you again for that.
Appreciate that, Ron.
But back to your, Robert, the 21 commissioners might have voted to look at that. No 21 commissioners never agreed they were gonna go no direction, this direction right here. I didn't.
Well,
I don't think you'll find, most of them, when it gets down to it, you're gonna find out different.
Could be.
Actually, the only other comment I will make, reference to the 2010 budget's been discussed. 2 years ago, when I met with the mayor, he was the one that proposed that we go to this hourly system, and I think it was in an effort to quantify how much time is being spent and cost.
Right.
We were perfectly comfortable working under the old system, as it were, at a flat fee and capping that, working with you. But we were open to whatever would best serve the needs of the county, and the mayor wanted to try that, and certainly we went along with that, and we're glad to do that. Now we've quantified the costs, and as you can see, it takes a lot of time to get the job done. But notwithstanding that, we're happy to go back and go back to another arrangement if we can find a suitable basis for doing that. So I don't want anyone to think that because these numbers ran ahead, that it was anything that our law firm recommended, but this didn't come from us. And we've tried it for 2 years. If it's not an acceptable way, you want to look at something else, we're happy to. If you want to move on in another direction, that's perfectly your decision too. Either way, we're comfortable.
Let me chime in one more time while I brought that up. The recommended budget for this upcoming year in our notebooks is $338,000. And the 2009-2010 budget, the county attorney costs $259,000. I feel like one of the rationales for discussing the county attorney here tonight is cost for our budget. And I'm wondering if we could actually save money by going back to that old arrangement.
Make note of the fact that the delinquent tax collections exceed $150,000 a year.
And the only response I would have on that, Mayor, is correct, that is a significant amount. Those are paid by the people who pay the back taxes when they pay their penalties and interest.
Correct.
That's not paid out of county funds. That comes from generally penalties and interest for unpaid taxes. Last year, our back tax work, we collected over $3 million in back taxes for the county. I've got the exact number, but it's approximately $3 million. We filed 450 back tax suits. I query and raise the question, do you think that a single attorney can file 450 back tax suits in a year and do all the other legal work for the county? I just asked that question for you. It's hard to keep up with 450 lawsuits. So again, that's your decision to make, but I did want to share that that's the work we did last year in an efforts to collect the delinquent taxes. And in delinquent taxes last year, because it has been unfortunately in a recession involvement, you've got a lot more delinquent taxes that are coming up. They're accruing more rapidly as a result of foreclosures and that sort of thing. So the volume of work did increase substantially last year.
I think another thing you have to look at too is when you got all these elected officials, and a lot of them, when they call court for opinion on different things, all them's gonna be different. And you're gonna have whoever this attorney is, when they go calling them, they might not have expertise, all this kind of thing. It's pretty broader than you think, in my opinion.
Well, I think to carry on with business, that whether this, we have a motion to approve and second on this, is thumbs up, thumbs down on this, but then I would like to give Mr. Cope and his firm the opportunity, if y'all gonna do that on the other end down there, after this motion's either up or down, and we're still to carry out what the full commission has decided on, and what the full commission is plan is. Not these folks right here sitting on budget, the full commission's plan. So we're carrying that out through this budgetary process. And then if we have another opportunity from the Cope firm I think we could still be open to that. Nothing's in stone until after we set the budget at the end of June.
Would there be a way to bring it up at the full commission Thursday night? Let the full commission vote on whether they want to proceed with this in theory or not? Because
I think you have to.
personally, I didn't think 2 years ago we made this hard decision. I thought we had signed a 2-year contract and it was going to be renegotiated at some point in time. So can we bring this up under other business Thursday night? It's not on the agenda.
You can bring
And-
anything up
and,
on the business you choose.
And get some guidance from the full commission.
But that contract is clear. It says it's a 2-year term. The last sentence, the last page says it may be renegotiated, renewed with the agreement of both parties.
Right.
That's the last sentence of the last page.
I was thinking we hadn't made that decision, personally, you know. I remember that being in there, and it's been 2 years ago. My memory doesn't go back as well as it used to. But I would like to know what the full commission thinks, because it's very, 4 people can carry something out of here, but it takes 11 on the full commission floor. You know, and I would like to make sure everybody's in this boat before we head down the river.
So you haven't started any renegotiations or anything where this 2-year time frame is coming up?
He's on it. Basically, the mayor has not asked him
Oh.
to reopen it. I will take responsibility for assuming that you made the decision 2 years ago. And
We may well vote on this Thursday night, and that is a decision.
you make the change.
You know?
You can change any time, your decision, you choose.
And please understand, we're here, we don't want to create any issues. We're here to serve if we can. If we can be of service to you, we want to, but if that's not, there's no certainly feelings on our part. We've enjoyed the time we've worked with you and work with you for the next 2 years in mitigation. And I would say, would have hope and expectation, even at that it does have a provision that it can be rolled over for another 4 years. So unless you're intent on building a big department here and running $1 million legal department, you might want to look at that and continue stuff. So that's your call.
The litigation piece automatically renews for 4 years unless the commissioner give 180 days notice that you're going to change that process at the end of the next 2 years. I mean, it would renew itself unless you take affirmative action.
Well, that's where the full commission then would be notified
They'd
in
have to-
advance prior to
they'd
the
have to be
180 days.
notified in advance if they choose
Making
to.
sure we're staying straight ahead with.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we do have a motion and a second for this proposal in front of you. And we have had a request to do a roll call vote. So please call the roll.
Commissioner Bond?
No.
Commissioner Jernigan,
No.
Commissioner Jordan,
No.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
I would still hope for this to come up from somebody at the commission floor so we could iron this out before we have a whole nother argument.
Well, let's just go ahead and request the mayor to put that under other business for
I
us.
mean, I can't
Yeah.
do that, I mean, it's,
You know,
we can release the agenda, but we can release a revised agenda. and-
I mean,
And you want me to put it under steering, where do you want me to put it? Steering's last, so we'll just put it last agenda item under steering, if you, or the next to the last item.
I'd like to, personally, I'd like to iron this out before we get to the last day of the fiscal year, and also we've got a war going on in the other room. And it may not be a war, it may be 18-3 right here, you know.
We will redistribute the agenda tomorrow. Under steering, it says county services agreement, county attorney
I was
services
gonna say,
agreement.
steering's got a portion at the beginning of the agenda.
No, it's gonna be at the tail end, we got a heavy agenda for
Okay.
steering, and they'll be up there a while.
Jim, can you be prepared for Thursday night?
Sure.
Okay, comments we made.
You'll be
Suspend
there
the rules,
anyway.
let you.
If I'm invited, I'll be there. Rest assured.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Johnny, you be ready to speak.
Gentlemen, pages 9 and 10, the Election Commission, Mrs. Lester and Mr. Jones, would you join us, please? Mayor Burgess.
Okay, there are quite a few changes in my recommendation as compared to their request. I'll just make note of a few of those. Election workers, 285,000 was a request. My recommendation is 200. I think we reached reasonable agreement on most of these, but they can comment on those. In-service training is reduced from 9,900 to 4,000. Communication from 13,000 to 9. Let's see, you'll notice that even their request on postal charges is way reduced. They reduced that from 86,000 to 20,000. Printing, they reduced that from 20 to 10. And the rentals is on the equipment that is used in this, whatever that amount is, that $142,000 is offset by money, grant money, so that's the new machines that they get, and they get, we get reimbursed for those costs, you might say. And office supplies is up a bit from 10, their request was 34, and I have recommended 20,000, so the total recommendation is $948,099.
And to comment, part of the reason for several of the line items being a significantly larger amount was due to the state senate lines, and I don't want to keep beating that horse, but that was, we're looking at the potential of having to add an additional 19 precincts. And there's a lot of specialized election equipment that you can only order from 2 or 3 election supply companies. So I hate to use the term price fixing, but there's not a whole lot of room, wiggle room for bargain shopping, if you will, on certain supplies. And if we had to, add that many extra polling places, there are lots of additional supplies that we would have to purchase for those places, as well as staffing with poll workers and extra rental costs and so on. Steering committee did vote unanimously last week to recommend to the full commission tweaking the county commission district lines, if you will, to line up with the state senate lines, which would in turn reduce those number of precincts. That would keep us from having to create all of those additional precincts. And if the full commission does go along with that recommendation on Thursday night, then the additional amount of money would not be necessary. So if you want to look at it line by line, line item 192 is the election commission budget. This is the budget for the 5 election commissioners themselves. That includes training at the seminars that are provided by our statewide organization. It's the Tennessee Association of County Election Officials. Every other year, it moves from Nashville to, last year it was in East Tennessee, this year it's going to be back in Nashville. Next year it's going to be in Memphis, so there's, hotel expenses and travel expenses that you would not normally incur in June of the even-numbered years. So next year will be June of an odd-numbered year, and it'll be in West Tennessee. The following year will be back in Nashville. We calculated that amount of $17,500 based on the actual cost of the election commissioners meeting. We did potentially overshoot the number of meetings that they might have to hold in the next 12 months. They have been meeting more frequently in the past couple of years than they have in years prior. So we did estimate that at 24 meetings, which is 2 meetings per month. Once election season is over, certainly beginning in January of next year, there may only need to be 1 meeting per month. So there could have been a little bit extra in there for that. But the rest of the expenses are for the seminar fees, for the basically continuing education, if you will. Everything we do in our office is based directly on local, state, and federal laws. And we have to remain up to date on all of those laws. Every employee in our office, as well as the election commissioners, we have to remain abreast of the changes in the laws. And that's what this line item entails. On the election worker line item, we didn't know really at the time we estimated our request how many additional polling places we were looking at. So we did shoot a little bit high. I have since done an analysis on the poll workers. You have a copy of that.
But if we make
Pass
the
that
change,
around.
if we make the change Thursday night, then that brings it back into what we're doing anyway.
Right, but I'm not certain that the mayor's recommendation will be enough. Obviously, we will do our best to try to work within that recommendation. I'm very conscientious about everything that I do. I treat that office as if it's my personal budget, and I'm a bargain shopper. If anybody knows me.
This is your new figure.
Right, the new figure that I've estimated is approximately $230,000, and that, right, as opposed, well, if our initial was 285. If we're able to go with a lower number of precincts, we're now projecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 230,000 for 2 elections. So that would be about 115,000 per election.
100,000 more than last year, is what you're saying. Because it was 130.
Well, and our cycles flip-flop because this
Election
year,
year, yeah.
right, we have the August and the November election, which this election year is actually the biggest election year that has happened or will happen in the next 20 years because it directly affects our budget because of reapportionment. The only time that reapportionment in a presidential election year actually coincide is every 20 years. Because reapportionment is every 10 years and presidential elections are every 4 years. So we won't have another election year like this in 20 years. The next year's budget will be for 2013 and 2014. The only elections that we would have on that budget would be the Murfreesboro City election potentially if they do not decide to move it to coincide with August or November, and the possibility of a May primary election if the local parties do not decide to hold caucuses, as they did last time. So the election budget does fluctuate somewhat on an every other year basis. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, and that's why. The next line item, of course, would be 196, the in-service training. This would cover the in-service training for the office staff. Several years back, it used to be that every staff member in the office attended the summer seminar, which is the big one, which is in June. It's the first Sunday through Wednesday of June. And they haven't gotten the opportunity to do that in several years. It's not feasible to do it in June of even-numbered years because we are right in the middle of election cycles, candidates potentially picking up and turning in petitions and preparing for the upcoming elections. So that's why we requested that amount of money. Again, I just like to reiterate that everything we do is based on local, state, and federal laws, and this is our opportunity to keep abreast of all the changes in the laws. The the June conference is the main one where they go through all of the recent legislative changes in election law. And then jumping down to 435, office supplies, I think we're okay with the mayor's recommendation of cutting that one. There was, again, significant difference because we thought that we were going to potentially have to purchase a lot of extra equipment for potentially 19 extra polling places. And I'm hopeful that we will not have to do that. There was one addition, which I sent you an email about, and I talked briefly with Ms. Nolan about it. We do have a need for some shelving at our warehouse. We put this under office equipment. We would request $10,000, and I don't know if it'll cost that much. In fact, Ms. Nolan brought to my attention that there may be a possibility of getting some equipment through one of the other departments who was given some equipment from the state. I don't know if they have that availability or not. That's certainly something we would look into. I also do not want to go and purchase brand new shelving. I know that there are some consignor type companies out in Nashville where you can contact them and say, hey, I'm looking for this. I need some warehouse shelving, you know, so many feet high and so many feet in length that you can tie into the structure of the warehouse. You know, do you have any of that equipment? That's kind of what we're looking for. We have a lot of signs that are, you know, 4 feet by 6 feet or 4 feet by 4 feet that are our precinct signs. We have the vote here signs, all the directional signs for everybody, cones, and various different things that we have to store over there at the warehouse. And right now, all of that equipment is just sitting out on the floor. It's leaned up against each other. It falls over. The signs end up getting bent up, and cones get squished. Things get broken. And we are in need of being able to better maintain and take care of the equipment we have over there. And some shelving would help us out with that. So those are really the only differences that we had.
Question on the early voting. Are we like the state says when the counties early vote?
Yes.
It's the same statewide?
It is. It's
But it varies state to state, doesn't it?
I presume so. Election laws do vary from state to state.
Mrs. Nolan?
Okay, in this total cost, this 230, 850, that number that you're saying that the 200 should be that 230, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, the 3,000 overtime, we've already got in the overtime line item.
Okay.
Okay, so you take that out. The 7,000 is your FICA,
Mhm.
so that's accounted for another line. So taking those two out, that's 10.
Okay.
And you doubled it, so that's 20. So
Right.
really, you're only 10,000 off.
Okay. Okay, so the FICA and Medicare that's in the other line items covers the poll workers as well as regular office staff?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
We've already
make it,
calculated, so I guess maybe,
I think we'll just leave it
So
200.
I
If
think,
they
yes.
spend 210, we'll appropriate it through any
Yeah,
fund balance.
we could cover that. They might find it within their own budget at that point in time in the year. We'll be well into the year by then.
can you
Not
make
by
it,
November.
can you make
That's
it?
halfway through?
Can you make it 65,000 increase on your budgetary, make it work this year?
Oh, the 65.
The request.
The 948 we got.
948, it's been
and I think we've had to
Presented.
before, after an election, after all was said and done, we've had to transfer money in.
Right. And if it's that close, then that's a lot better. Of course, this is based on 46 precincts, so we're hoping that, like I said, we're hopeful that this will pass on Thursday night. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because there was a significant difference between our initial recommendation and the mayor's recommendation. That's why I didn't want you to think that we were really that far apart.
But I think what one of the commissioners was saying, you will accept the 948, 99 for the purpose of this budget proposal.
Were you asking about adding
Yes.
to that?
No, I was
no,
asking,
no.
will you make that work this year?
We'll do our best to try. I mean,
Okay.
that's all we can do at this point is try to make that work. If not, then, you may see us here for asking for a budget amendment.
Well, it sounds like it'd be in our best interest for this to be tweaked so we can keep the 46 you say that we have now.
Right.
Question that I have, do you have the maps available for this tweaking? You know,
GIS GIS
if
does
my
have
house
those.
happens to be outside of my district,
No,
that's
no,
not.
no.
That I would,
No,
agree to.
we made certain that none of the, because on the redistricting
Well, have you
committee,
made certain that those maps are available to us now ahead of the meeting Thursday?
yes, GIS
Yes.
has all of those, and they should be uploaded to your.
Are they in my mailbox downstairs?
If
Because I know they're
you
not.
need the
I might
physical
tell you that
maps.
some of those precincts, the commission, county commission, drew the line on one side of the road, the state drew it on the other side, and they created a precinct in the right way, which of course made no sense.
We did look at that to ensure that none of the incumbent county commissioners, Ride Board, school board, any office holders, or any candidates who had actually picked up petitions to run for office were actually affected. No one actually lives in these tweaked areas who is an incumbent or a candidate.
Just show you if you go for a rock,
But
I wanna.
you're talking about a cost savings of over $500,000
Well,
over the
I
next
very
3
much
years.
like
Yeah.
to vote for it, I just would
Right.
like to see it before I say
Take a
yes.
look at it, some of it was really ridiculous.
I talked to-
So we really
Talked
didn't
to
have
Mr.
to
Curtis
have.
Riley,
it
47
reversed,
people
did we?
moved from one district.
231.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out.
Gentlemen, we
These
need,
were shown at the steering committee meeting.
Right,
the
and
other
used
night,
the
and
road.
all that.
Yeah,
gentlemen,
see.
are we ready for a motion, please?
Motion to approve the
Thank you,
budget.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Second the motion.
And seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank
You
you.
know, like,
Like to say that
you hit like on the
the
side of
election
your road.
commission, our job is to make sure we have enough money to hold elections.
10 foot wide.
The mayor and Lisa sure made sure we didn't have too much.
They added that.
Thank you all.
Thank you for
Wasn't
that.
even living.
They did the same thing for me because the north part of 231 goes through my district and we had to move my line from here to here.
Gentlemen, pages 13 and 14, planning and engineering. Mr. DeMasi and Mr. Corbett will join us. Good evening, gentlemen. Pages 13 and 14, Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is for $751,556, which is $5,000 more. It's just nominal changes here. I did reduce their request for board and committee fees from $36,000 to $26,000. Other than that, I really didn't make any suggestions that deviated from their request.
What was the board fees reduced?
From 36 to 26, line
No,
item
what-
191.
We're trying to stop it.
We don't think, we hope that they won't have nearly as many meetings as they've had through the course of the past year or two with respect to this zoning resolution change, et cetera.
Mr. DeMasi,
We really have no other further comments regarding the recommendation then?
gentlemen.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jernigan and Jernigan. Mr. Sandlin, did
No,
you have a?
I'm good.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, let's move over to pages 88 and 89 for the stormwater management part of the budget. 88 and 89.
Let's
Mr.
see,
Burgess?
That stormwater management budget is up about $6,000, let me see. Most of that is in line 103, and that, I believe our person in charge of that is professional engineering.
Yeah, Todd
Uh,
Sutton passed the PE exam in October.
So that's why we're up about almost $4,500 or so there. And then the attendant benefits coupled with that. And I think under other supplies and materials, that 2,900 compared to, I think that $290 must have been an error.
Yeah, it was an error.
So really, the only increase we have is for that one employee and those benefits associated with that. So the recommendation is for $158,655.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner P. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, page 15, this will be a rather easy one because this is environmental. This is the state office, and Mayor Burgess, you might just explain what that $600
This is the office that we are leasing to the state for the occupancy of the, where they do the septic permits, et cetera. So all we're having this budget here is to pay for the telephone in that particular office, $600. And this lady still is servicing that office, plus she works in planning as well.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Salmon, seconded by Commissioner Fee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Mankin, if you will join us, please. County buildings. That part of the budget is on pages 17 and 18.
Okay, there are a few items here. Part-time personnel, Mr. Mankin is requesting a lower number there. That's about 7,000 less. Communication, in that we have county buildings is responsible for paying the telephone bills in a number of these buildings. We've had to increase that from 38 to 50 because that's about how much it's going to run even this year. Utilities is a similar situation. We're having to increase that. You see, he requested the same as this year, 525, but based on utility costs, et cetera, we've had to recommend 557. Building improvements, we're reducing the request from 200 to 125,000 in maintenance equipment, a small, reduction of $10,000 there. So the recommendation is about $56,000 less at $1,849,143.
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
Commissioner Sandlin, Commissioner Jernigan. Mr. Mankin, did you have anything to say?
Accept the mayor's recommendation.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good job.
Thank you.
Pages 20 and 21, we will deal with the archives budget. Mr. Logan, if you will join us, please. 20 and 21. Mayor Burgess.
Thank you. One of, if not the most efficient departments we have, in that there's really hardly any change here except furniture and fixtures. I think Mr. Lowell may be toward the end of his project that's creating a huge amount of additional storage space in the same square footage that we have over there. So you see that line item 711 is down 20,000, which basically reflects his reduction from 215 to this year's recommendation of $194,656.
Mr. Lodell.
No real comments unless the commissioners have questions. I accept the mayor's proposal.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Lodell.
Thank you, sir.
Pages 22 and 23, risk management. Mrs. Stinson will join us. 22 and 23, gentlemen.
Okay, we'll help from Lisa on this one, I've forgotten. Anyway, let's look at line 162, Lisa, and we've increased that from 148, we requested, initially it was 150 to 164.
Well,
Help
that's-
us with that.
Well, under everybody's budget request, that would have, those numbers in there would be the one that would be the same pay plan if we hadn't done anything. Under 5 would be the new plan.
Okay, so this is.
Plan and evaluation.
This is no new people, it's
It's
just.
no new people.
This is reevaluation of each of her individual people that warranted this much increase for
Right.
$10,000.
I'm sorry, how many's in 162?
How many people?
People.
Hold on.
Everyone except her.
Exactly.
That's not correct either.
And 162?
There's
162.
4.
4.
And there's 3 in 189.
That was my next question. You knew that, didn't you?
There's no part-time over there?
So after those two
Are
line
you with
items.
me or not?
And we've got some changes to make based on Janet Bowman's
Yeah, when you get to,
proposals.
I guess, to 502 and 506, we have recommendations for building and contents, insurance liability, et cetera, but Lisa may have more exact numbers to put in there.
Under 502, that should be $96,000. And 506 is $445,000. So the new bottom line is $1,107,014.
One,
07.
oh, seven.
114 at the end.
114 or just 14?
1107014.
So that's the recommendation.
Mrs. Stinson?
I only have one point I'd like to discuss, and that is account 508, which is the premiums on corporate security bonds. Currently, we carry a $50,000 bond on Superintendent Mr. Bill. And I began the bond process for Mr. Odom, and in talking to the comptroller's office, have learned that whenever the superintendent of school positions move from an elected position to an appointed position, we no longer have to statutorily carry that $50,000 bond. We have a $500,000 policy currently that we carry for employee dishonesty. So the current premium on that $50,000 bond for Mr. Gill is $442. So we could actually save that $442 if the commissioners were comfortable with carrying just a $500,000 policy, as the superintendent of school is seen as a public employee. And I did confirm with Ms. Bowman that that would be, that everything I said is correct.
Well, besides dishonesty, you said that's what this covers. I mean, there might be other litigation thrown at him, but you're saying that would be covered under our other employees' insurance?
Correct, right.
How
So we
much
have
is the bond
multiple
cover?
lines, $50,000.
Oh, it just is.
So for his,
It's 10
for
times
his
the
amount of
coverage.
exposure, it's a very small amount, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's 10 times the coverage, and we've already got it.
Right.
Do we need to adjust that through the budgetary process, or y'all wanna handle that through the
I mean, I
administration?
think we just kind of wanted to get your feel for it, because we felt like we really didn't have to get it, but we just wanted to bring it up to y'all to make sure y'all agreed with us.
When you get short on funds, there's $430 something.
Swell guy, Wally.
Yeah, a little transfer coming up here.
Oh, that's right. We pay it out of the school board's budget anyway, not this one.
Jeff's got it.
$42.
They need it.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve this report,
Thank you.
because I believe you have accepted it.
I'll second this.
And Commissioner Petty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Pages 24 and 25, the budget for the finance office. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, the recommendation is $1,047,472. Most of that increase, again, goes back to the valuation process for employees, and our finance department has probably as many people that are out of, I guess you could say, consistency and equity as any department. So there's $29,000 increase on line 119. Let's see. Line
And how
310.
many is in there? I'm sorry, I'm trying to,
11.
11.
Line 310 is the opportunity for some an intern or interns from CTAS. That $6,000 is new, but that would give her some much needed additional assistance. And
162 is one.
Wait a minute. Yes, 162 is one. I miscounted.
And
I was thinking in my
189.
point, and 189 is one. I was thinking there's 12 in my department total. So there's one in 189. There's one in 162.
So you got 9.
so it's a 9 in the other line
And
item.
then 9 in 119.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all the public comments.
Mrs. Nolan.
I accept the mayor's recommendation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Page 29. Our trustee, Mr. Beatty, will join us, page 29. Mayor Burgess?
He just used to have it.
Been waiting all night.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
There is-
Dr. Payne got your spot too.
I didn't win the lottery.
No, you didn't.
Well, he did. His budget request is the same as this year's request, and that's my recommendation, $623,950.
Mr.
Move to
Beatty?
approve.
Second.
Agree.
And that was Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Petty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. You win the prize for having the exact same number as last year, maybe.
That means he's not taking.
Pages 30 and 31. Uh,
It comes
Yeah.
out.
The county clerk's budget, Mrs. Crowe will join us. Gentlemen, 30 and 31. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, a few points to make here. Line 106, deputies. That number is going up there largely because one part-time person is going to full-time. And y'all may have a question about that. The insurance line item, that's 205. That's just what it is because that's the employees that she has and that's the projection that we've made. And that's what it will be. 399 under other contracted services, I believe there's some microfilming that you're proposing to do there, but that will have revenue that will offset that. That's a new item, but she has revenue from her records.
From the
Archiving fee that will handle that. And she's reduced her cost for other supplies from 14,000 to 1,000, so she's saved a lot of money there. Data processing equipment is up slightly from 3,000 to 9,400, and office equipment has been reduced from 19,900 to 8,500. So the recommendation is $2,208,083.
Mrs. Crowell?
I accept the mayor's recommendation.
Gentlemen?
I mean, he's in 106,
37.
37.
No, 30, with this, it'll be 36, and I have one part-time.
So right now, it's 35 and 32 as we
So you still have a part-time. One
Right
part-time's
now.
going to the full-time,
Position.
and that's going to a new level then compared to, or
No.
a level within?
She'll
All right.
go to the entry level.
All right,
There's
so-
a $50,000 increase.
Well,
But
that's
there
what
are
the
other
raise
people,
is.
other people that have been reevaluated.
The reevaluation thing, yeah, okay, so that's, okay.
Our 10-month on gas is only 1,200,
Let me see that.
but we've got 4,000.
That's
I
probably
wouldn't think they'd use a whole lot of gas. I mean,
But they got a couple
Well-
of vehicles that go back and forth.
back and forth to
Nashville, et cetera.
Smyrna or Nashville or whatever.
Yes, they
Hmm.
it's every day. And then, one of them I don't use a lot, but it is there for me to use when I need to, when I do travel. So otherwise I use my.
I just noticed that the 10-11 actual budget was 2,300. This year, 10 months so far is 1,200 basically. And so that 4,000 has been consistent for the last couple of years, but that may be.
I probably left $1,500 on the table or 2,000.
That could be a spot for them to come back if they're short and get the money, but it,
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you. Gentlemen, we need a second.
Second motion.
Second from Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Building codes, Mr. Jones, will you join us? And gentlemen, we need to be on pages 68 and 69.
Madam Commissioner?
Good evening.
All right, the recommendation is $786,328, which is about $32,000 more. Largely contained in, again, adjustments and reevaluations on 106 deputies and 162 clerical. Both of those have increases that are about almost $30,000. That's where most of all the increases are. Then there's some increase in the insurance has happened because of the mix of employees, et cetera. But beyond that, there's really not much to suggest. Well, I've reduced a small amount in communications, a small amount has been reduced in other contracted services, $3,000 there, and a small amount, leaving the office supplies at the same as they are this year at $5,000, and the rest of it is pretty much continued.
Cut 4,000 in gas. 4,000 under last year's.
Oh, yes, correct, that's the same as he requested, but we would reduce that.
David, in 106 deputies, how many is in there?
8.
Eight in deputies. And 162,
3.
is that it?
They're getting ready for you now.
Mr.
You get those
Jones?
answers?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Jones?
The only comment I have, most of this budget is salaries, as you see, and insurances, benefits. Our operating cost this year is $45,000. Rest of it salaries.
Pretty tight, isn't it?
You're okay with the mayor's recommendation?
Yeah, I'm accepting the mayor's recommendation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Petty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Pages 40 and 41, Mr. Bratcher will join us. Chancellor report, Mayor Burgess.
Okay, Chancery Court, again, line item 106 is increasing from 391 to 400 again, that's some reevaluations, and that's just employee increases there. Again, the department, employee insurance, 205 is up, that's routine. Otherwise, let's see, he has reduced his legal notice amended budget from 30,000 down to 15, because they had to amend some in here late in the year, I think, to cover this year, so, but he's got it back to 15. And office supplies, I have recommended a reduction of $5,000 from the recommendation.
He's down for
And communications equipment, that communications equipment is going to be funded out of OIT's budget, that's telephone equipment. And office equipment, I don't know, I reduced that, Mr. Bratcher, you may have to tell me why I did that, I don't remember now.
It was copy machines.
From 17 to 7,700.
We were looking at 2, and there was some built in there in case of price changes and so forth, and then we discussed it and thought we'd put one off, and we looked at other options and so forth, and got it reduced down after our meeting.
Okay.
Back in March, I guess it was.
So anyway, that being all said, there's a reduction of, net reduction of $4,000 to $880,080.
Mr. Bratcher?
I accept the mayor's recommendation.
Move to approve,
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Petty.
Can I get 106 and 160? You got those in? That's a different deal there.
There's, of course, 1 in the 101, there's 10 in 106, and there's 1 in 164. Total of 12 for that department.
What about 169?
That's part-time.
How many's in there? 3.
3.
Thank you very much.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
4,000.
Change the school budget, because Mr. Sandy, watchdog as usual.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, is there anything else we need to discuss under other business? Let me remind you, our next meeting is tomorrow evening. We'll continue with the general fund, so if you'll be here at 5:30 tomorrow evening, and then you're reminded of the May 21st and the May 22nd meeting also at the bottom of the page, but I'll also give you another reminder about that. But otherwise, see you tomorrow evening.
Good meeting.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are adjourned.